Hey guys, we're live with EOS Ignite, another weekly episode of EOS Tokenomics and DACs. We have Justin from EOS Blocksmith and Luke Stokes from EOS DAC. And yeah, we're glad to have everybody here. Let's try to get some more people in the chat. I gave a notice about an hour ago, but I'll also kind of just let people know that it's starting right now. So let me do that really quickly on the EOS Telegram. That's usually where we get people hopping in from. So let me see. Webcast starting now. Let me give the link again too, but oh, you did it too. That's great, Justin.
Yeah.
All right, cool, thanks. So let's maybe just get started with Luke. You kind of give us maybe an update on EOS DAC. Anything? We spoke a lot about EOS DAC. I think it was last week, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'd love to get a quick update. I know you got a lot of other stuff you want to talk about, tokenomics and things, but we did. It's pretty exciting in that we're right there about to give over the keys to the kingdom to the entire DAC, and that's scary, as you can imagine. And so I didn't learn until the end of last week the details of what Michael Yates has been working on permissions wise, and he got to talk to people like Sandwich and other people in the EOS community, and he showed it to them at the hackathon, and they were just like, wow, this is amazing. It's actually, I think, now become about 5 or 6 different EOS accounts that all have their own permission system that basically eventually flow into the DAC authority account, which is the actual multi-sig for the custodians. And that DAC authority account has high, medium, low, and single different levels of permissions. And so you can see all that. And with that, there's also there is a training wheels key that we're keeping on it for a little while. Like if we just totally screw up the code and we lose control of the DAC, we'll have still another key we can go in there that similar to what's going on right now with Michael, Rob, and myself kind of controlling some aspects of the block production key and things like that. But it's really exciting in that the actual framework has been designed. All of the unit tests are completed. This is all in a GitHub repo so people can check it out. And we feel we're done, but now we have to get, we realize that we kind of pause for a second and say, wait a minute, let's really think this through. If we do this wrong, we lose control, and that would be bad. We've worked so hard for this. So we kind of have put things a little bit on pause in that we've got a call with OCI tomorrow. They're one of our vendors that we've been working with, service providers for the DAC, that are going to review this code. We're also, Michael Yates is talking to some people who have just the experts in this permissions specifically part of the EOS infrastructure to kind of look over what we've done. But it's a really exciting moment. It's like the moment where the permission actually goes on chain, and we're realizing okay, once we do that, we can't keep doing the worker proposal payments via multi-sig between Rob, Michael, and I, as we have been doing. And I've got a video up on how we do that. It's now going to have to be done by the actual 12 custodians that get voted in once we reach the threshold of 15% membership actually voting. And so with that, we're pushing really hard right now to build an interface within the member client so that probably not the proposal of multi-sig yet. It's a little more complicated, but when a proposal is available, either to pay the 3 types we came up with is doing transfers. In this case, it'll be worker proposal payments. In the future, that will be a completely separate module. So payments will be directly connected right to a worker proposal payment that's already on chain and approved by custodians. That whole deal. This is more kind of a manual, on-chain version of what we're already kind of doing with this, shell scripts right now. And then the other 2 parts would be obviously code updates for the DAC and configuration changes for actual, properties of the code that need to be changed. And those are all be multi-sig transactions. So we're working to kind of put that in the interface for the member client. And again, that's at members.eosDAC.io. And it's pretty exciting. We also had a long conversation with some people one person in the Chinese community yesterday was pretty frustrated. Well, he wasn't frustrated, but he was relaying frustrations because a lot of people want all this stuff yesterday. And anytime it doesn't happen immediately, that's they feel like there's delays. And so we finally were just we can't give any commitments in time anymore. We're just, when these things are done, then we're doing it. And one of the things right now is just that audit, that final check And so we're really close to actually being on chain with custodian governance as a DAC. So it's pretty exciting stuff. Thanks for letting me come and give the update. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I got to check it out soon. So it seems like it's getting close. So I think once it's all ready to go, I'll kind of play around with the dashboard and see how I can kind of get involved. So,
yeah, and two, even if you own eosDAC tokens, one thing you can do right now that would be very, very helpful, and you can wait until there's custodian voting as well once we turn that on. But just even registering is actually an action that is helpful for us, because we do, according to our constitution, have to reach a certain. It's just like the EOS launch. You have to reach a certain amount of participation before the DAC kind of turns on. So that's something that if you have eosDAC tokens or know someone who does, that's something you could do to help us out. Is just register as a member of the DAC.
Okay, cool. So yeah, everybody out there who registered for EOS DAC, it's just go to their website, right? EOS DAC.
Yeah, and the specific you can find it right on our website, but you can do members.eosDAC.io as well. I'll drop that in the chat.
Okay, members.eosDAC.io. Okay, great. Yeah, so yeah, exciting stuff. Yeah, and then the audit is always a thing. You just want to make sure everything's especially when we have like the DAO hack and everything for Ethereum. It's like you got to be extra careful, I guess. So all right, awesome. So any other questions for Luke as while he's still here?
Not really a question, but just a bit of a comment. Like, I think that's really exciting what you guys are doing around kind of permissions. And I think it's probably the first time anyone's actually done anything a bit different other than using their active and owner permissions. Like, it's going to be that first real awesome example of kind of using multi-sig. And I don't even know all the different aspects around permissions. And I'm actually just excited to see what you can do, because that's an area I haven't really explored that well.
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff. I'm just going to go ahead, just for the programmers out there, I'm going to drop a couple links to like our GitHub and stuff, just to kind of give you an idea. Like, and here's a specific permission that actually, these are some of the tests that we're running that actually sets all the permissions. These are the type of things that we're code reviewing right now. And you can see how all the different accounts, there's multiple different types of permissions from high, medium, low, but then there's also like specific permissions, like for doing transfers or firing a custodian. You can actually name your permissions in EOS, and it's a very powerful feature. So like, for example, there are permissions set aside for like claiming rewards as a block producer, or permission, you can have named keys. It's kind of like you don't ever use the same password on all your websites, right? You use a password manager like 1Password or LastPass. So every single login is a new password, essentially. And the same abilities exist on the EOS blockchain, where different permissions can be set up for different things with different passwords, different keys.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
Hey, how's it going, Martin? Just saying hello. Hey, so it's almost like, AWS, right? Hey, how's it going, Shaheen?
Yeah. AWS has a very advanced permission system. Yeah, EOS is very advanced as well. And like you said, I don't know that a lot of people are using this. And we've been talking, Michael's been talking to people, directly involved in EOS.io and stuff. And they're just like, wow, yeah, this is great. So I'm excited about it.
Am I assuming correctly in that the owner and active permissions, they're just like sort of the default examples that Block One have put out, and like just to provide a basis for us to get started with, but there's kind of an expectation that we'll come up with new variations. Yeah, I'm not sure about the technical side of that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, for example, in Steam, there's a very clear hierarchy of permissions. You've got your owner, then you've got your active, and then you've got your posting, and then you've got your memo key. And those are kind of like structured. You can't really do anything other outside of that. And yet, when I say hierarchy, I really mean that, like, the active key can't change the owner key, but the owner key can change the active key. The posting key can't change the active key, but the active can change the posting, and all the way down. Yeah, I think it's just kind of a new evolution of that. I think the owner and active are still kind of separate in that owner has full control, and you really don't want to, you want to never use that. And often too, a lot of Genesis snapshots, they might have the same key for owner and active. And that's something that I'd encourage people to, get EOS Vote or, from Gray Mass, or you get one of these more, secure advanced wallets, they'll let you modify your permissions and go ahead and, change that. So you're only using your active key. But in the future, I imagine different applications will, suggest you set up different permissions, just for that application. So maybe it can do certain things, but it can't like move your funds or something like that.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I imagine we'll have like a posting, you know, once we have forums and stuff, there will probably going to be a posting key. I imagine too, there might be like a gaming key, you know, maybe a game that never touches your funds, but interacts with the chain and needs to sign messages. You know, that kind of stuff would be fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. I imagine there should be a key that allows you to do everything on the chain except for kind of sending. So it allows you to interact with a DApp and earn rewards, but then not be able to send those rewards out. I'm not sure if that already exists, but that's something that I've kind of been thinking about lately.
I imagine so. Like it's similar to the posting key on Steam, like I said. Like you can't.
Yeah,
you
I
can't,
guess that's a posting key.
Yeah, you can't move your funds with that posting key, and that's by design.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a lot of confusion in the community, and actually for myself as well, around the owner key. And a lot of people have noticed that on a lot of dApps and wallets, you can't use the owner key to actually. I think it was sending and receiving. No, it's just sending out tokens. You can't use it for that. I think it was, or there were certain actions that you couldn't use it for, which was surprising because you would expect the owner key can do everything that the active key can do, as well as kind of make changes to the account.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. It's actually quite interesting because maybe it was done by design to actually discourage people from using that, because really the owner key should just be a permissions management tool.
Yeah, definitely.
Use it. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Any any other comments about what we've been discussing, and then we'll probably try to get started with the other tokenomics conversation. But anything with the eosDAC and permissions. So okay, so that sounds good. No, thanks guys. Thanks, Luke. I guess, you know, and then we'll you know, we're starting the series on tokenomics. So we'll last week we did a poll about, you know, which dApps to discuss tokenomics on, and Trybe got the most votes. I think HorsePay was second, and then third was Karma. So I don't know how many we could go through though. So have you guys? Maybe we'll just start with Trybe for since that was our main. That was kind of the top vote getter last week. So Trybe. I mean, I'm actually pretty new to this. I don't know much about Trybe. I'm just reading it now, just a little bit. Unfortunately, their website seems to be down. So I was looking for the white paper. I was hoping we could go through that. But maybe Justin, do you know about?
Actually, yeah, I was going to do my research an hour or two ago, and I went to the website and it was down. So I ran into that same issue as you did. I think they've got their pre-sale on at the moment, and I think they must have had a flood of users going on there to kind of figure out how to buy the tokens, and they've just been overawed by kind of all the people going on there. So very unfortunate.
It's kind of funny to me, like, because I'm a Steam witness, so full disclosure, you know, and a lot of people get all weirded out when they're like, oh, how can you be part of EOS and part of Steam and part of, you know, I'm involved in all kinds of projects. I want to see, you know, human well-being increase in the world. That's what I'm all about. And these are just technologies to get there. But it is kind of funny to me when I did kind of first get hear about Trybe and, you know, sign up and do that whole deal. And I think I did one post there already. And it was kind of like, and somebody asked me at one point, why would they take it and put it on WordPress? Like why are they trying to take a blockchain project and put it on WordPress? And it was just kind of made me realize, like, over the last, I mean, I've been on Steam for more than 2 years now. And for that entire 2 years, we always hear, like, what about this competitor? What about that? What happens when Dan makes, you know, Steam at 2.0 and all those other things? And I've always just kind of been like, we'll see. You know, it's like, if it's better, people will use it, and that will innovate, and then there'll be, you know, all kinds of competition, and Steam will improve, and it's just like the whole ecosystem will move forward. But when I heard about this, I was kind of like, yeah, it might be another one of those examples where it's like, really cool story, but here we are, the website's down because it's not on a blockchain. It's using, you know, and that's, you know, to be fair, Steemit.com has had a number of its issues as well through the years, you know, through the last couple of years. But, you know, the nice thing is you could still go to busy.org or Steam, you know, Peak, or, you know, all these other cool interfaces for the actual blockchain that is uncensorable, that can't really go down. So Yeah, it kind of makes me chuckle because that would have been my number one point to discuss in the tokenomics of a platform like this, and it's kind of being proven for me. I'm just like, well, there's no site right now because it's centralized. It's not really a decentralized system. You can create, code you can use code or tokenomics or tokens to incentivize behavior, but ultimately you have to have a great story that backs that value. And we've seen a lot of social, like pay for social sites that have all failed. They're not around anymore. And I was on a bunch of them. So it's kind of like, but at the same time, I think it's an awesome idea. And I think it's cool that they're exploring the space, and I got no ill will or whatever. And however it goes forward, I think it's an awesome thing. I think we need more competition.
That's an excellent point about kind of having the system on the blockchain, having the tokenomic model. It means that you can have multiple UIs, and that's really great, especially with kind of, the firewall in China, and you've seen it on Steam. There's multiple ways that you can actually interact with Steam. It just makes it sort of immutable in a way, you can't really take down kind of one UI. You have to take down all of them, which is fantastic. But that's an interesting point also about it being on WordPress. I didn't realize that.
And it may not be. That was just something somebody said to me. So, and again, I see we got someone, Matt, from actually Trybe. I would love to actually talk to someone who knows way the heck more about it than I do. I was just relaying a conversation I had, which I thought was kind of funny. And I also I dropped in the channel there, Steam Peak. Not many people know about that, but it's a really beautiful interface. And I see now more and more people are sharing links on Steam Peak, not on Steemit, just because it's a better interface. And so just something to know about. If you guys already have a Steam account, you can actually get a better user experience potentially with that.
Yeah, definitely. I saw a Chinese app version for Steam, and it was on Android and iOS, and it looked pretty good as well.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be hard to cover Trybe too much today because we don't have access to the white paper and the website.
Matt should be here, I think, hopefully in a few minutes. So
excellent, cool. That'll help a lot, won't it?
We could.
I mean, I guess I might repeat my question, I guess, when he comes on. But one of the things I was kind of thinking about is just the idea of incentivizing. He's fixing his hair, nice. Just incentivizing content creation or just incentivizing specific action. Like I know Trybe rewards you for every time you come back. You get a little more tokens just for coming back. It looks like Matt's ready. And I think that'd be interesting to discuss kind of how we incentivize behavior and how that impacts the story of value we create.
Definitely.
All right. So invited Matt. So your hair is fine, Matt.
Nice and short. We keep it short. I want to start off by saying I'm honored just to be here. I see you guys do the show all the time. I'm a huge fan. I'm always kind of playing it while I'm working in the background. So it was kind of last minute. I just gathered my stuff and ran onto here. But thanks for the invite, and I'm honored to be here. Unfortunately, I think Tom would probably be a better candidate, but he's in Australia. He's asleep right now.
Yeah.
But let's talk about Trybe. This is awesome. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Matt. I honestly had forgotten that you were connected directly with Trybe. There's so many people doing so many things. I always think of you as Costa Rica. So it's funny.
Yeah. No, it was really cool. I kind of ran into it. I was doing some posts of some of my videos, and I just built this relationship with Tom, and then it just snowballed. And the next thing you know, I'm on the founding team, and it's been a trip. It's been really cool because the thing that's kind of unique about Trybe is that we're really kind of building it from the ground up. So we're trying to take as much community feedback as we possibly can. And then we still have room to kind of duck and dive and kind of make additions and make changes. So we're really trying to build this model on a lot of the feedback that we're getting from the users themselves. And we have the time to do that, which has actually been really effective for kind of building a cool system that works and that people are happy with. And I think the key thing that we're really trying to do on Trybe is not we're not trying to take out Steam. That's not going to happen. That's not the intention, right? Steam is a great platform. It's been around for a long time. But it's kind of, I spoke to Happy Money Man recently, and one of the interesting things that he said was Trybe is kind of one of these platforms that were, for me, it was hard to get exposure when I started. It still is. I'm so small time. I think I might have like 370 subscribers on my YouTube, but just to get my message out was really, really hard. And I knew that I was going to face some difficulties in doing that. And I noticed that when I started interacting with Trybe and I started posting my stuff on Trybe, it got a lot of visibility, and that people were, they were commenting, they were reacting, they were interacting. So I think the main difference and the main opportunity that we really have to do with Trybe right now is the fact that we can listen to the people as we build it. We're actually looking into something right now that's probably going to speed our development of the platform up by as much as 6 months. And we're going to be kind of announcing that sooner. But most importantly, we have the opportunity to be able to incorporate some of the feedback from our users as we grow, and just kind of make changes and duck and move. And the response has been good.
Great. So, I mean, for those that don't know Trybe, people like we're familiar with Steam and Steemit. What's like the 30-second elevator pitch of what Trybe is to you, I guess?
Trybe is like a transformer for exactly the reasons that I kind of mentioned previously. But I think what we're really trying to do is incorporate kind of a 50% content platform and then a 50% kind of social media ecosystem into it. And we have some really, really cool plans to expand above and beyond that. But essentially, it's the same as Steam and a lot of other platforms out there. Of course, we're just starting out, and it provides tokenized rewards, we'll call them, to people who are posting their media, and the opportunity to be able to kind of weed out. Tom always gives the pitch, like every time we click on a Facebook, right? Every time we click onto social media, like not too many people read newspapers anymore. So we have this massive amount of information that everybody's getting fed every single day. And we have a massive amount of information that we're consuming, and the way that kind of society is moving towards social media, it's shifting from newspapers and kind of academic articles into the social media phase. And then, of course, as you guys know, a lot of the stuff that we consume on social media, not of course Steemit and other tokenized exchanges, isn't necessarily peer reviewed. So you're fed this information, and it's not always accurate. It's never peer reviewed. And essentially, Trybe gives the opportunity for people to share their knowledge, come out, put down a little bit of representation of kind of, their thoughts and their feelings. And then it's kind of vetted by the community and vetted by the society and the people that we've built around Trybe. So tokenized rewards, attempting to minimize some of the information that we're fed on a regular basis from the new social media clickbait. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, a little bit longer than others, but no, I'm just kidding. No, that's fine. No, that makes sense. So it's almost like I always like, like kind of a really short pitch, like it's like Steemit except something. It's like if you come down with like a really condensed elevator pitch or one sentence, kind of, one sentence kind of description. I think that would be great. Like it's and then you could always expand it out. You have a 30-second version, you have a 1-minute version, you have a 5-minute version. But it's just like I'm always looking for like, and it's hard to focus too. That's the other thing. So, but I mean, hopefully you guys will kind of get a really kind of short pitch that you can actually explain it to like people in a short amount of time. But no, it makes. Go ahead, Luke.
I was saying in that kind of transformative description you gave. Is there? I remember there was one point where you kind of rolled back a bunch of rewards because there was some exploitation potentially, and I'm wondering, as part of your evolution, is there a plan to be part of a blockchain, a mutable system at some point, or is it because like as we're demonstrating right now, I mean the website kind of says that data was lost as of a few days ago, and that data is gone forever because it's not on a blockchain, and the benefit of immutability in social media and everything you just shared about those ideas and how important they are to be not fake news. If somebody says something, it's going to be their reputation. It's that it's not just like put out there and disappeared and all these people think a lie, it'll be like, no, your reputation's on the line and you're going to get downvoted from here on out if you try to put out fake content. So I'm just like, is that part of the roadmap or just not yet?
That is a fair question, my friend. And it's actually a really good question. And it begs kind of an interesting point. I think Like our future roadmap, as I mentioned, I can't get too into it right now, but the plan is to develop a new platform, which is going to be a combination of Node.js and PHP, which will be stored on some internal servers. I think like if we want to just speak on the hack a little bit, I think this thing just exploded. Honestly, Luke, I don't think that Tom or myself or anybody on the team could have anticipated the level of success that we're going to get. And you know, because of that, we had planned on kind of upgrading our servers a little bit later. This happened, so we upgraded them now. But in short, once again, I am a man of many words. To answer your question, the new system will be stored in Node.js and PHP. And I think it's like such a difficult process. And I actually want to hear your thoughts on this, right? You're trying to find this balance of using blockchain resources efficiently and not clogging up the network, but also, of course, utilizing them as much as possible, right? And I think that when you start to take a lot of those resources, it becomes very cumbersome. And I think that what we're kind of trying to achieve is the perfect balance in between efficiency and just kind of what makes sense to put on the blockchain. I think to store all that information on the blockchain, you can correct me if I'm wrong, every single post and every single, you know, comment or whatever else would be pretty cumbersome, and it might actually, you know, perhaps bog down the system a little bit. I don't really know, but I think that we're just trying to find that balance, and that's kind of what we're trying to achieve, and that's what the new platform that's coming up is going to achieve as well.
That's a great answer, because I do think that the importance of usability, like I talked about earlier, like just improving well-being is what matters. And if people have a platform that they're familiar with, such as like a WordPress, you know, then that means user adoption might be used. And then if they start to get introduced to the cryptocurrency world with a wallet that's super easy to use, super fun, just very, very simple, then that kind of gets people to the mindset of like, hey, value creation is something you can control, not just central banks, not just nation state governments. And that's a beautiful thing. And I definitely support that philosophically for sure. But it is this kind of challenge of like, but you're also right now, this very moment, seeing the result of making that decision. You know, that right now, this very moment, your site isn't available because it's not decentralized. And I do look at the future as being decentralized. You know, that's what I'm all about, decentralize all the things, because we've seen so many examples time and time again where centralization leads to the potential for a centralized point of failure and attack, but also a point of corruption. You know, you guys are great guys, but like who's going to take over Trybe in the future? And when it's central, and this is why I'm really passionate about DACs as well. And this show talks about DACs, because when we decentralize the governance and control, you know, it's like who's going to have access to the keys for that database, you know, or that web server, you know, and all these things become more and more important as we start to kind of stretch our muscles as a species and recognize that we have freedom and we can actually, you know, impact the world and start using our own cryptocurrencies that we create, our own stores of value. And that's not going to be a fun thing for some people in power today. They might not be happy about that, and they might try to censor us. And so, you know, we have to balance all these things. But again, I appreciate more and more experiments in the space. I think it's great. When specifically talking about tokenomics, I think it would be interesting for you guys, and maybe you've already done this, to kind of go through and analyze every other incentive-based social media platform prior to you that didn't have that extra added bit of being on a blockchain for that immutability and censorship resistance, and actually demonstrate like why yours is different, why those have failed, but this one won't. And maybe it's even just timing. Maybe it's just the fact that your payments are on a blockchain. They are tokenized. They're not just some, you know, fiat currency or something where there's one big bank that you all control. That would be an interesting discussion. I think I'd like to read about that.
I can tell you right now that we're actually working on the mechanics of a new voting system, which starts to remove having the editor as well. And moving with the new platform, we will be moving it towards decentralization to the point that it's click, post, submitted. But as you know, Luke, the beautiful thing about this space is that you can develop your products on the run, and that's what the beta is. The beta is an opportunity for us to gather input and feedback from the community, make some changes, and of course, we couldn't have launched right off the bat a purely decentralized platform. But I will tell you that the new platform will be decentralized, and it will be for example, the editing process and stuff like that will kind of eventually move to the side. But it was just an opportunity for us to put something out and say, this is what we're thinking. We want your feedback. What do you guys think? What can we change? What can we make better? And we've made a lot of really, really cool changes, man. But I can tell you that the new platform is moving in the exact direction that you're talking about. You know as well that I'm a huge fan of DACs. That's the one thing in the space, just the way that this governance model, which of course is prehistoric, or it's from from a long time ago, is being applied into business, and the way it's kind of giving us a sense that maybe we can run our governments a little bit better. So I find that super intriguing, and the whole idea of DACs is probably one of the things that really kept me into EOS. I spoke about this again with the last interview that I did. So you can definitely expect that the new platform is going to be moving in that direction, but we had to start somewhere.
So, just real FYI, I guess, if it's, I don't have my microphone, so it's, so I actually toggle off my mic so that, there's no echo. So if you, just as a reminder, if you're on here, just if you're not speaking, it's good to just toggle off the mic or use your headphones, just because there might be a little bit of echo without it. But that's just FYI. But just real quick about, so I'm kind of curious. So I didn't realize, so what part of it is on the blockchain? What isn't? How do you see kind of that moving forward? And because, I do understand, especially early on as an MVP, I think it's okay to kind of start centralized and use just specific features on the blockchain. And then, just kind of progress towards, fully, like all things on the blockchain. So I think it's okay, especially if you're an MVP, if you're testing out things, it might be more efficient that way. But there is a certain level of trust you need, especially if there's kind of control with the tokens. It's almost like they're trusting your group for access of these tokens, and it's almost like you could issue a token from your platform and you're just kind of distributing it to everybody, but they have to trust you, right? So anyway, there's challenges for sure. I do see kind of the reasons in the beginning, but it'd be nice to have like a roadmap of like what you see on the blockchain and things like that. So, I mean, maybe if you can kind of talk about that, Matt.
Sorry, this mic thing. So yeah, absolutely, man. I think like kind of it just boils back to what we talked about. I think that we currently use smart contracts. The majority right now of the things that are on the blockchain are strictly kind of the tokenized aspects. But I also had a conversation with NS James, like it was quite a while back, and he was kind of talking about some of the things that he's going to be doing now. NS, I love the guy. I think he's a genius. Like you know what I mean? And he was mentioning, like, for example, the fact that he's going to be creating these new games. So he's going to actually have the ability to create these, first-person shooters like Doom. And then we kind of talked a little bit about like what exactly needs to be on the blockchain in this case. And he said, honestly, like not a lot, right? Currently, we're using smart contracts to be able to, issue tokens and move the tokens around. But in the future, it's just going to be a delicate balance. And like, again, that's the beautiful thing about building in this space. You can always adjust as you move. You have to find a level of efficiency in between kind of performance, what makes sense, and what should actually be on the blockchain. And I suspect that ultimately, I mean, I'd love to hear what you guys think right now. I'd love for you to sit there and tell me, like, Matt, I think you should have this on the blockchain, or maybe not this, or maybe that, because that's really how we're building this platform. We're ultimately building it through the input of the community. And, as of course I said, decentralization, amazing. That's one of the things that's attracted me to here. One of the first reasons why I really had a good look at EOS DAC rather back in the day when you guys started up as a block producer, and one of the things that really kind of captured my imagination. But it's just going to be a process of finding out, being able to keep the processes lean, be able to make it make sense, finding that balance of trust with the community. And the truth of the matter is I don't have an answer right now. I could sit here and I could feed you some BS. But we're going to find that balance through conversations like these. And that's one thing that Trybe is really aiming to do, is engage the community, find out what people think, create conversations just like this one, get input, and we can always adjust accordingly.
Yeah, so maybe we can just discuss that, and then also we should go down and discuss the tokenomics, as well. I think that's kind of we'll try to kind of create some guidelines for like discussions of tokenomics. But at least for your question, let's just say Steemit, for example. I think it's good if you're going to build a reputation system, it's almost those kind of activities that build a reputation system should be on the blockchain. So some sort of measure of activity or relationships, you don't want that to, if that's on a centralized database, then, someone could manufacture reputation. And so anyway, so I would lead with that. There's, I don't know if anyone else wants to kind of.
Yeah, June, I think that's genius. You're absolutely right. In terms of people's relationship, integrity, and just kind of how they operate within the blockchain, that's definitely something. And how much data would that really take up? And the truth of the matter is not a lot. And that's something that should be immutable. So it's, as I said, that's one of those suggestions that I'm going to go and talk to Tom about, because I think that in terms of efficiency, that makes the most sense. But I will say, I can't really talk about it too much right now. But I will say that the new platform is really going to change the way that things operate. And I think that it's going to change the way that things operate in a light that a lot of you guys are going to appreciate.
So I'm curious, I want to find out a bit more about the tokenomic model. Like, what are the differences between it and Steam? Like, if you go on and you post an article, how do you determine how many tokens I will earn? Is it based on upvotes? Is there a re-steaming kind of option? Just tell us a bit more about that side of things.
Yeah, I would love to, actually. One of the things that I kind of chatted about previously, which has a lot to do with the actual design mechanism, is, of course, that right for fair exposure, right? And in a lot of previous blockchains, we've seen kind of that people with the most tokens tend to run the platform. So right now we have kind of this maximum voting weight that you're allowed. The rewards are based off of that vote on your post. And depending on how many tokens you have, this is also going to be changing in the future. We just really want to be careful we want to incentivize those who use the system and who have been with Trybe for a long time, but we also don't want to give them an unproportional amount of voting weight to the point that they really have an influence over new and struggling content creators, whether they be writers or guys who do YouTube stuff, to coming on the platform. We really want to make sure that we find that perfect line in between discerning who has really got the experience with the platform, and also those who are new to the platform. And we are working on a new algorithm right now. The algorithm is going to incorporate a few different things, which is also going to include kind of the consensus, the general consensus of how people are voting that category. And people will actually be downvoted, or people will actually lose points for downvoting certain posts, which may not be kind of within the consensus of the general algorithm that people are voting. So there's that. But to answer the question, essentially, somebody is going to vote on your post. There's a star rating. It's between 1 to 5. 3 is kind of neutral. 4 gives you some tokens. 5 gives you more. 2, you lose tokens. And 1, you lose a substantial amount of tokens. So this is all still in development. The amount of tokens that you actually have on the site is directly related to the amount of voting weight that you have. And I think that right now, what we're really doing is just kind of breaking this stuff down and trying to find a way to disincentivize people from abusing the platform. And we've already made some measures. We have some new measures coming in. So ultimately, our voting structure will change. How you acquire tokens will change. It'll take into effect, whether or not you're whether you're upvoting friends' posts every single day, or whether you're downvoting somebody's post every single day. And just try to take these small little abuses out of the system while giving like a fair and accurate voting weight system. But essentially, people vote on your posts. You get tokens based on the amount of upvotes, downvotes that you get, and those go into your on-site wallet.
So a question about just like starting from the initial supply, how new supply is created. In Steam, you have about 10% kind of every kind of at an annualized rate that's redistributed, or roughly 10, let's say, right? I know it's like 7.5 or something like that, but it redistributed to content creators from the existing token holders. And so that's just every year, it's like a new distribution of or redistribution of that, let's say 7.5 to 10%. Is that right, Luke? Just to double check that I'm I'm at least roughly in the
Oh,
ballpark.
you're comparing it, you mean to Steam?
To Steam, yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. The inflation, I think, is around 8% total inflation. It depends on, like, there's aspects of that go to block producers, aspects of that go to, the rewards pool. I think 80% goes to the rewards pool. But yeah, I think it's within the ballpark.
Okay. Okay, great. So that's, and was it, is it 80% of what? An 8% inflation or a 10% inflation?
Yeah, no, of the 8%. So basically, you've got your total here. I'll actually just drop a link here if you want to see the breakdown. If you go to SteamDB, as a great tool by Jesta, you can kind of see a breakdown of the kind of distribution. So it shows like there's a portion that goes to interest for Steam Power. There's a portion of it that goes to witnesses. There's some commenters, some authors, and some curation as well. That doesn't show the whole total percent. I do think it's around 8%. I used to run some calculations to get it exactly, but it is a form of direct token inflation. And I had similar questions as far as Trybe goes, as far as the token, like how many tokens did you start with? How's the token distribution working with that ICO type fund? How centralized is that distribution, kind of a thing? Those are common questions in the cryptocurrency space. It's like, is there a pre-mine essentially? It's just the tokens now aren't even mined; they're just created out of nothing, and then it's a matter of creating a story of value after that. And it's an interesting point of discussion of, like, depending on how that distribution goes, you can actually directly impact the governance of your system, and that relates to as we're talking about DACs and stuff. Because if one person buys it all up, then it's like your model could be broken right as you start. So these are things I'm curious how you guys have thought through and addressed.
Yeah, good questions, man. And then I'm actually excited to talk about I'm hoping that at some point we'll talk about some of the features that are coming with the new site, because we've got some really cool things going on there. But let's talk about the token distribution. Let's talk about how it all went down. So when Tom created the model, we looked at kind of how the airdrop model was happening and how things had kind of changed since the early days. Luke, you had an incredibly successful airdrop, and I think a lot of that is based on the value that you were offering as a block producer. But we've also seen a lot of subsequent airdrops that haven't worked out quite as well, I would say. And largely it's because I think people don't take the time to really look at the projects. They don't value the projects. They take the tokens, more EOS, boom, gone, right? And it's an unfortunate event, because a lot of good projects depend on this for their funding model. And we just kind of watched the way that happened. And then ultimately, like, we wanted to create a system where the people who actually used and actually care about the application were going to get rewarded. So what we did was, you could sign up for a Trybe account. If you signed up for a Trybe account, you got a certain amount of tokens. If you visit a post every day, you get 10 tokens. If you invite a friend. So everybody kind of came onto the platform originally, had an account, had been through, understood what we did, and we distributed tokens like that. And then, of course, I believe it was about a month ago, people were on there, or they were posting, they were making tokens. And we actually did an airdrop that we took the amount of tokens that you had on site, we put them on chain. So I think maybe we distributed, I think it was less than 10 million tokens. And those were distributed on chain. So people still have their tokens on site, they still have their tokens on chain. Now, to further incentivize people to kind of remain within the system and support Trybe and everything else, we're doing a series of ongoing airdrops from December 11th. There's going to be kind of monthly airdrops based on the amount of Trybe in your account. They'll be kind of distributed evenly to all those people. And we spoke briefly about something which is kind of interesting. You talked about inflation. Trybe, after the new platform goes live, is going to have an inflation percentage of 5%, half of which is going to go to operational costs. The other half is going to go to people as well. Is just going to go back to the token holders, spread equally, kind of depending on how many tokens you have. So we also do, of course, have a Trybe pre-sale that we're doing right now, which we're selling on the site for 1 cent, which is significantly lower than the market value. Ultimately, we're kind of hoping that we would see some block producers kind of step up, and we're building some relationships right now to be able to support that. It's actually going pretty well. Our user base is growing and people are engaged, but essentially there was a pre-distribution. There's going to be another distribution coming on December 11th of airdrops for the course of the next year to keep people incentivized, holding tokens in their account and hopefully providing value to the ecosystem. And furthermore, for that pre-sale, which is significantly lower than the market price, we essentially If you buy into that pre-sale, your tokens are staked until July, at which point 10% are re-released into the economy every month, up to the point that your tokens are completely released. And at that point, we should have enough tokens within the ecosystem to not significantly affect the price in a negative manner, and of course the potential to have the new platform up and built as well. Does that kind of answer some questions?
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, guys, I'm going to have to drop off the call a little early. I have another call I need to prep for, but it was great seeing you again, Matt, and everybody. Thanks again for having me on the call. I'm looking forward to seeing what Trybe does and just exploring the space of like trying out new experiments. So take care, everybody.
See you, buddy.
Thanks, Luke.
So was there money to pay for the development team? Does that come out of inflation? And how is the development team decided? Is that going to be decentralized at some point?
The development team, decentralized, not so much. So the token sale that we're doing right now, which is like the pre-token sale that we're setting out, is essentially going to help fund the development of the platform. The development of the platform has already started. We're into the thick of it. We've got some really cool things coming up, and it's underway. So we did kind of create this model. We also have, following that initial ICO, or initial, sorry, not ICO. It's been a long morning. Following that initial pre-sale, we actually going to run an ICO, and the plan is to run the ICO in the same way that EOS ran their ICO. So it's kind of going to be an ongoing ICO, and it's going to be based on the amount of EOS that people are contributing. And I think we launched our pre-sale like 10 days ago, and I mean, it's coming along. It's actually doing pretty well. We've had a ton of support from people in the community. We've already started doing some development, and I think that the pre-sale combined along with the ICO and a lot of the relationships that we're currently building right now and some of the partnerships that we're doing are going to help to continue to kind of give the platform steam and move ahead. And our user base is growing as well.
Oh, definitely. One thing I sort of have a concern about is like that money provides development time for you guys in the initial term, but then kind of longer term, I don't know, in 5 years, maybe that money runs out, and then there's no kind of money being provided on a constant basis for development. And also I wonder about the incentivization around just getting a lump sum amount of cash or token funding, whatever format it comes in, like how that incentivizes them to continue to work on and use that money effectively if there's no market competition for who is the developer or who gets the worker proposal to actually do certain bits of work on the platform.
Okay, I'll gladly alleviate some of your concerns right now. Number one, you're asking about ongoing money. So we do have an advertising kind of function there. Half of that goes back to the users as well who have staked their token. Half of it goes to development costs. And aside from that, half of inflation at 2.5% also goes back into the fund for network and development costs. Furthermore to that, inflation will stop at approximately 2 billion Trybe, which is quite a bit in the future, at which point we're going to offer another token, which will be called KIN, and that will kind of become the secondary token market, which will be used to pay for advertising. And we have a ton of other features that I'm going to get to in a while. And then you're kind of asking about like, what's the incentive to keep developing the platform, right? Success, man. Like, and I don't mean this, I hope this doesn't sound arrogant, because I don't mean, we're doing really well. We're making some great headway. Our user base is constantly growing. We're making some really good relationships with people in the industry. Why wouldn't we see this through? Who in their in their mind would think that I'm doing really well, we're making a little bit of money, we're off to Tahiti. Like, it's just, if things were going horribly, that would be one thing. But like, I live for this thing, man. I live for Trybe, I live for EOS, I live for cryptocurrency, and the entire team does as well. We have probably 5 or 6 devs behind the scenes right now. If you ever want to pop over to the group, I'll gladly introduce you to them. Some who have been around the industry for a long time, but we're doing well. Everything's going really, really well, man. And we have continued funding. The model's working. People are coming on the platform. People are happy. And I personally couldn't imagine like this is everything. This is our reputation. This is our life. So I just I couldn't imagine. I know people do it, but Trybe is not an exit scam, and I think a lot of the people who engage with the platform know that everything's on blockchain, legal entity incorporating, so it's, you know.
So for your existing kind of user base, which I mean, you opened up how many months ago with your platform, and maybe ooh.
Sorry, Jim.
Can you restate that? I don't know. I can hear.
Yeah, no, I feel bad, man, because I think I just cut you off like an idiot. So I'm sorry. Why don't you go ahead and restate the question, and then I'll answer it. I apologize.
Okay. So yeah, just wondering, you know, Trybe started maybe how long ago, and I'm just curious about your existing user base, and you know, as I assume you have the system where people earn tokens based on a rating system currently, so that's how people are earning these Trybe tokens. So just kind of in terms of history, how long ago? I'm curious how many users you have too, but you know, how long ago has it started? How many kind of users? And I assume that based on the content that's being generated, you already have this algorithm that calculates how much they earn, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have kind of a calculation that calculates how much they earn based on the rating that they give you, with the amount of tokens that they have. Right now, like the maximum rating strength is 10,000 tokens on site. I think we're going to change that, but I think it's really important that we change that at kind of very small levels for a lot of the reasons that we were talking about previously. We just want to make sure that you know, maybe kind of whales don't run the platform, and that as the amount of tokens grow, you have a little bit more sway, but we don't really want them to be able to kind of dictate everything to somebody who's just kind of coming onto the platform. So the platform has been up for a little bit over a year right now. We had some solid growth for the last little while, but in the last couple of months, we have come up from about 5,000 users to around 10,000. So like in the last couple of months, we've doubled the amount of user base that we have and the amount of people that are posting.
As it's been around for a year now, and so how is this kind of, you know, EOS was just launching, you know, it just launched in June. I wasn't just paying attention, I guess, but I mean, I guess you were did you kind of start as a separate project outside of EOS and then kind of plan to use EOS kind of midway, or I'm kind of curious about the history there, just as a, you know, just clarification.
Yeah, Tom is a cryptocurrency guy. Like, he's been working on this for a while. I joined the team. I probably only joined the team myself, June, maybe like 4 months ago, kind of like officially. And Tom had his eyes on EOS from the token sale, and it was always within the plan. It's dynamic, it's fast, and it's just, I mean, why not? Why not EOS is really the question, right? With kind of the staking the staking function, a lot of things that you can actually do with this token as a utility token, not previously kind of available. Tom kind of hooked into that, and I just think that I don't know why anybody wouldn't build on EOS. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, but that's me. I'm kind of like an EOS maximalist. Short answer, he had his sights on it for a long time.
Gotcha. So yeah, it'd be good to have a resource, you know, for the white paper, kind of the history. I know the website's just down, so we can kind of get information, but you know, it'd be good to kind of have like a good idea, and you know, I'll sign up and check it out and see you know, what kind of content there is and things like that. But yeah, back, maybe we can, like, we're in terms of tokenomics. What are you thinking is the great incentive mechanism for people? You know, in Steam, it's, you know, writing content, getting rewarded for that. There's a little bit of curation. Maybe you know, what are the kind of the incentive drivers? And is there any additional drivers, maybe for marketing or promoting or anything like that, that is in the system right now to incentivize through tokenomics? You know, you have this value. Like, how are you kind of splitting up the rewards? Content, curation, maybe marketing or things like that?
Yeah, currently it's kind of content and curation, but one of the cool things that we're actually going to be doing with Trybe, which is kind of one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, it's so we have the token rewards doing that right now. In the future, you're going to be able to get a portion of all the advertising sales for staking your tokens. You're going to get a portion of inflation when inflation kicks in as well. But not only that, we're actually doing this thing where Trybe is going to become like, it's going to become kind of like a sub-site operator. So you'll actually be able to log into Trybe, and like, let's just say, June, you want to have like a tokenomics website or a DAC website. Like this DAC is about websites. So you can log into Trybe, you can stake some of your tokens for that, and we're going to give you on Trybe all the same functionality with a really kind of cool website builder that won't be based on WordPress. But on top of that, we're also going to give you an opportunity to be able to tokenize your own website. So they're going to be kind of sub tokens that are run through the ecosystem. And you know, there's going to be like DAX.com by June, and you can go in there. And then if people want to post on your site and they want to kind of tokenize your site, then you'll kind of have the same system that Trybe has, like all these little kind of mini syndicated tribes around. So that's another incentive, kind of, and another use case for the token itself. We have some really neat features coming up as well. Like Trybe is also going to act as kind of a liaison between people who are looking for content. Like, you know, if somebody has a really cool project, they're going to be, and they want some content creators either to produce a video, or they want some content creators to write an article on it. There's going to be like almost like a mini kind of worker proposal system, in the sense that, not in the governance sense in EOS, but in the sense that people will be able to come in there. It'll be like, you know, there's June. June's really good at this. He's got this many confirmations. Here is his rating on creating media. They're going to be able to contact you. And they're going to be able to, you know, like acquire you and kind of pay you in the tokens to be able to do work and promotions for them. And there's translations as well. Like we're looking to kind of create a little central database where people can come in and use Trybe tokens to pay for translations for the various work. So if somebody's got an article, I'm just going to, whatever, HorsePay has an article that they want translated in Korean, they'll be able to come into the site, they'll be able to log in, you'll be able to earn Trybe tokens. If you are like an accredited, and there's going to be a vetting system, of course, with ratings and reviews. There's going to be like a vetted system where you're going to be able to come in and be able to apply for those jobs. So it's a social media network, a tokenized kind of knowledge sharing network, but it's also going to be a lot more. There's going to be an opportunity, like I said, make your own site, have your own tokenized system, be able to charge for your own stuff right off your own site, be able to syndicate other content to other places. And there's a ton of use cases for the actual token itself. If you want me to, I can pull up the white paper.
Be great. Sorry. Yeah, we can kind of access the white paper, so that'd be great. So yeah, I think overall, you know, I think the approach for when you're starting out, you know, having it kind of centralized is okay if you're testing out things. I do think, you know, over time, like if you're changing tokenomics, because, you know, you're saying, okay, hey, this is going to be worth X, and maybe in the future it's going to be worth Y and so these are very sensitive parameters of the blockchain. And blockchains, you know, there's usually some sort of governance aspect of it. And that's typically, at least for EOS, you know, everything's kind of on chain. But so how do you see that in terms of the governance of your system, and how you change these parameters that can really affect the economics of your system? How do you, and especially, I mean, I know you have to balance that with kind of experimentation, but like there's also, it's important to have, you know, this consensus and these, you know, buy-in from everybody, all the token holders to decide, I assume. So
the token holders are our customers, like essentially, right? That's the way you have to look at it. And that's the way that I look at it with Tom. Like if we go and do something insane that nobody likes, or isn't fair or is abusive, people aren't going to use our site. And if people aren't going to use our site, then Trybe isn't going to be around. So I think it's quite possible that we'll probably use some sort of voting mechanism for future decisions. But right now it's just very community based. If you pop into our Telegram right now, I can almost promise you that you won't be in there without 3 minutes with somebody greeting you and somebody talking to you. And we're not just making these flash decisions where we're kind of changing dynamics. It's all based on feedback from the actual people who are using the site themselves. And we just have some we've been lucky enough to build a really kind of engaged audience, which is quickly growing. So just in terms of, how are we gonna make these decisions? It's going to be based off of community feedback. It might entail kind of a voting portal or something like that, but it would be really disadvantageous of us to do something that would compromise the trust or the respect of our end users, because ultimately those are the guys who are deciding, are we gonna use the platform? Does this token have value? Is this worth using? Is this worth contributing to? Is this legitimate? So we're going to be making decisions, and we're going to be basing them on community feedback, and we already have. Martin actually came to us with a suggestion that completely changed the way that we're going to do our token sale. And we actually ended up hiring him on because we're like, that's a really good idea. So people are very vocal in our group. Let's put it that way. Nobody holds their punches, and we encourage everybody to come chat with us, talk to us. Communication between us and our customer base is essential, right? You're not going to build a social network without anybody who's out there trying to use the social network. So it's going to be through a series of communication with them, and ultimately we're looking to incentivize people using the platform. So probably through a voting mechanism.
All right, sounds good, Matt. And I also, were you able to find the PDF? I guess, or
I have indeed, my friend. I pulled it up right here.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know if you could link it to. Is it a web link or is it just a file?
It is just a file. Is there any way to do a screen share here or no?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can do a screen share if you just go up on your hover over your screen, your picture, your video picture, and then there should be something that pops down, and there's like this share screen icon.
Okay. Select screen. Okay. So is this working? Just trying to check it out here. If not, we can kind of, there we go. Does that work okay?
Yep.
Great. So let's take a little walk through. You just kind of want to do a walkthrough, or was there any type of specific emphasis that you kind of wanted to chat about here, June?
Yeah, actually, any important things that you can highlight in the white paper, and then really we can probably, if you have a link to that, or I'd be interested in taking a look. I think for our future sessions, we're probably going to just go through white papers in a way to discuss kind of the tokenomics of all these projects. So, but since we're probably we're already an hour in, maybe just highlight kind of just. I mean, you've already gone through most of it, but just anything that you haven't mentioned before, maybe just go ahead and just explain. And if we have questions, we'll let you know.
For sure. I think just to review kind of some of the future features, because it's of course multilingualism. That's one thing that's a little bit unique to Trybe. We plan on engaging all languages. It doesn't matter what language you speak. You can come on the platform and kind of share your content. We just opened up a bunch of new categories as well. There was originally just about kind of crypto and technology. We recently opened 8 more that involve kind of, science, outdoor, health. So we're expanding that as well. But I wanted to actually just review kind of the future features. Just want to make sure I'm on the right page here. Some of the future developments that are coming to Trybe, because I think that some of those are really cool. And I will provide, of course, a link to this. It's interesting. It's kind of, so we do cycle bonuses, affiliate bonuses. That's not what we want. So
explain these cycle bonuses. I don't know what's just like the summary of like how it works. I just I mean, it's scrolled through in front of me, and I was just wondering how you designed this cycle bonus structure, I guess.
Yeah, it is for the ICO. I don't want to come across as too shilly, so but we talked about the initial. I'll run you through it anyway. We kind of talked about the initial Distribution, so we've kind of covered that, right? 1 billion Trybe, until of course we evolved to 2 billion. This is kind of the initial distribution here, which you guys were asking about, right? 40% was for the token sale, 20% for the founders, 20% for early adopters, 10% for the pre-sale, 5% for Bancor protocol liquidity. We did drop our airdrop, which of course we doubled the amount of airdrop. Founding team with 200 million tokens. Contributors and early adopters got 200 million tokens. There are 100 million tokens located in the pre-sale, which of course are being sold at 1 cent. And then we will have kind of an ICO, which is going to have 400 million Trybe. Proceeds are going to be used infrastructure, management, operations, marketing, and development. And then the ICO is kind of it's different. It takes place over 812 days with a new cycle every 13 hours for a total of 1,500 cycles. We're going to distribute 200,000 tokens during those cycles. And they'll be decided on your contribution of EOS, much like the EOS token sale itself. There are, of course, bonuses for that token sale, which is kind of a total bonus, as well as a cycle bonus for each of those 13-hour cycles. And a 60-day bonus as well, and an all-time contributor bonus, as I kind of talked about for the ICO. So not super complicated there. We're just kind of doing a more EOS based because this is for the long run, and we want to make sure that we are able to build the best product that we're able to build. So I think in terms of ongoing money for development, we started really well, and people seem to be really receptive, and I think that that's going to continue. Talked about kind of the stake and reward, but token economics, I'm not sure if you guys wanted to see this, right? So Trybe 1, after paying people who stake, 50% of the remaining inflation goes here, goes back to the market. Inflation, of course, is going to be, I believe that's changed. This must be an old model. It's going to be 5%, half of which is going to go to the contributors. And then, of course, if you stake as well, you're going to get a portion of inflation and a portion of those sales. We'll also be creating a new reward token once we hit our maximum inflation amount at 2 billion, which will be issued at the rate of 10,000 new tokens for every active new user who joins the platform. And that'll kind of become the payment mechanism for the site. We are going to integrate with different dApps. We're speaking to a few right now. We do have a partnership with Warbly and a few other dApps out there as well that we're working on integrating certain parts of our dApp with theirs. Paid content proposals is something that's coming up that I kind of spoke about, where people will be able to contract content makers, content creators, translators, that kind of thing. So the company would post a job, there would be a bid process, they would choose one or more creators, and that would be that. Paid content as well. We may be changing our reward program kind of as things evolve. And also widgets. We're going to create kind of a Trybe widget for publishing content on non-Trybe sites. So if you wanted to have something on your site that has kind of a Trybe feed in it, that'll be there as well. As well as I kind of spoke about the new sites that we're going to allow. So people are going to be able to come to Trybe, they'll get their own domain, it'll be run on our software. And we're also going to, we're going to provide an opportunity for them to stake tokens to pay for that. And we're also going to offer kind of a range of premium features, like more layout options, different themes for their sites, different plugins like shopping carts where they can sell their stuff. And of course, those would be paid for in Trybe and eventually kin tokens. We'll have a plugin store and a theme marketplace for all of these separate sites as well. I'm just trying to figure out custom tokens to our users. So if they want to tokenize their content, they'll be able to using the same type of system that we have very easily. And then we're going to have kind of a community development proposal fund for new features. So we're going to be engaging the community and asking them, what would you like to see come to Trybe? And then we're actually going to give them an opportunity to be able to help us build it.
All right, cool. So yeah, that gives us a lot better idea of just, oh, I don't know where he went. I think he might have accidentally turned off Crowdcast. So, hey, Matt, let me invite you again. I think you might have accidentally So, Justin, any comments, tokenomics or elsewise? I mean, it seems like, you know, just scrolling through the white paper is actually a pretty good way of kind of seeing, you know, amen. And a couple of quick detailed questions. So I guess the 2 billion tokens, when do you foresee that to be kind of all distributed before kin comes about? Like how many years do you think?
I think Tom's written it in the white paper. I should know that. I think it's like kind of like a 3 to 5 year time frame.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to be like instantly distributed or anything like that.
And the staking to get rewards, how long do you have to stake to get rewards, new content rewards?
It's going to be like a 1 month process, you know, to receive kind of the content rewards and the inflation as well as some of the advertising revenue. And there will probably be like a, you know, a percentage of time, of course, to stake in, a percentage of time to stake out, which we're kind of seeing with a lot of models as well. So it'd be, I believe the current thought is a month right now anyway.
Okay. So yeah, Justin, you have any other questions or?
Yeah, one quick question. So once you have this new token kin, what will be the difference between what the capabilities of that token are versus the original Trybe token?
Trybe will kind of be, I've really got to watch the way I say this, of course, because of the securities commissions and different things like that, right? Trybe will be more of a utility token for the site, kind of that instills like a certain amount, I can't say ownership, but a certain amount of
decision making, is it?
Decision making within the site itself, right?
Yeah.
We'll go with that. And then kin is going to be just basically like strictly transactional value.
Okay.
And you'll, like most of the features, you'll have to have Trybe for example, like if you want to stake for this, or if you want to unlock some new features in the plugin store, or whatever it might be. But then kin will just be kind of that transactional value token, which will be it'll be like a fixed value on those.
Okay. And what was the reason you guys chose to do that sort of model where you introduce a new token versus just perpetually, like always inflating the current token?
I think that it's like inflation it's kind of it's a hard one to kind of figure out. I think that we want to ultimately encourage people to get in the early stages and kind of finding that exact inflation mechanism that's going to work. Because I don't think anybody wants to get like, today on my post I earned 0.0001 Trybe. So we thought like maybe we could multiply the tokens by 100 million. And then people are kind of going to panic about that as well. We just recognize that in order to kind of keep it a closed loop, that it might be ideal to eventually seal off inflation. And that'll be kind of a store of value from within the site itself. And it'll unlock a lot of the features. And then instead of continuing to inflate it into oblivion, just kind of have a new transactional token that's brought in. That'll kind of strictly be for some of the exchanges of monetary value.
Cool.
What do you guys think? I sat here and I talked the whole time. Like, you guys are really smart. I love watching your shows. I want to know what you guys want to see in Trybe.
Yeah, and then we'll leave it to the audience as well. So yeah, it's I like people going after content and curation and getting rewarded for it. So I think that's it's definitely a good space to be in. I think trying to solve some of the issues in Steam and Steemit and maybe the other websites is something to look into. You know, just see what the pain points are in those platforms. So yeah, and so for Steam, I'm just trying to. I know, yeah, just people are always kind of concerned about the distribution. I guess the concentration. So if you address that, that'll probably help. Maybe bots. I mean, there's some people think it's okay to have bots. I don't know with your particular website how you prevent. And maybe that's not as much an issue if you're, but what about like, so this is okay, Sybil, like, so like you have like some person opening up 1,000 Trybe accounts. Like, how do you prevent that, like on your site? And yeah, how do you prevent that on your site? Yeah.
So I'm not like the most technical guy. I'm kind of but I do know that they have built a lot of that into the processes. I know that one way that we kind of prevented multiple accounts is, of course, a simple IP, an IP blocker. But then again, multiple accounts from one IP. But then again, we both know that all you need is a dynamic IP, right? So I know that the guys do have a plan for that. We aren't actually seeing any bot activity on the site right now. And I think that we're basically going to be kind of looking for the brightest and the best in the business to work our way through these problems, because like, let's get real. I'm actually like, it's funny because I'm here, I watch you guys all the time and I am a huge fan, and now I'm on the show and the site is down. So it's like, it's the first time that it's gone down. But at the same time, it's like, it's a good lesson. Like, we're going to learn lessons along the way. The site going down and suffering that hack, it's a lesson. We've upgraded our servers, we've upgraded our security measures. So I think that we're going to learn lessons, and we're going to have to adjust, and we're going to have to move, and we're going to have to consult with some of the brightest minds in the industry to really get it right. But I think we have the time to do that.
So we got a question from Patrick. Thanks, Matt. So we have some questions from the audience is down there. So it's Patrick asks, can you give 3 advantages of Trybe versus D2 versus Steemit? Is his question. Yeah,
I mean, I'm like really, I try not to ever speak badly of any other projects or say anything like derogatory about projects unless I know they're outright a scam, because I think everybody just talks crap about everything in this industry, and I think that really hurts the industry because whatever. So I'm not gonna comment negatively on Steem. That I'm not gonna do. What I'm gonna say that we might do differently than Steem, and I'm embarrassed because I haven't used Steem, and it's a good platform, and I know a lot of people were on it. I just haven't worked my way around it. So if any of these sound naive, it's more so from inexperience. But I would say it's a new platform, and I think that we might have like a little bit of a better way of kind of communicating with our users. And we have the advantage of being able to adjust to those communications and those suggestions as we build. Number 2, and I don't mean to say this because it could be inaccurate, but I've heard that Steem is largely controlled by whales who kind of hold large tokens, a significant amount of tokens, and that sometimes it can be difficult essentially to get your content seen on that platform as well. And then, of course, like moving forward into the new platform, we just have a lot of functions, social features, being able to create your own subsites, the ability to get contracted by people to do. We created kind of like a social marketplace. We're creating kind of a social marketplace that will enable content creators to get the most out of their work by connecting with people who are looking for them and what they do in their talents.
Sounds good. All right. Any other questions, Justin? I'm fine. I think thanks for all your information and sharing, Matt. So yeah, I have a much clearer idea of what Trybe is, which is great. I haven't. It's hard to follow all the kind of projects going on in the ecosystem, so it's good to kind of have someone who's kind of in the inside with like this kind of information. So hopefully in the future we'll like invite people, like, because otherwise we just go through a white paper and we just kind of trying to figure out what the intent is just based on like text is a little difficult. So it's always good to have your insights and people's insights. So thanks, Matt. So any other kind of final question? I know we're kind of running a little over here, so thanks, Cooper.
Yeah, no questions from me, but yeah, it's great having you on, Matt. Like, we've sort of grilled you a bit, and kind of you've answered every question really well. But I think, like, overall, I think it's great what you guys are doing, like experimenting with the token model and seeing what works before kind of fixing things, because we've seen like a lot of projects with tokenomics where they've just written a white paper, they've thought this is going to work, and then they put it into place, and like Steem, it's got some issues with these like Steem whales who have basically maybe too much control over what content is actually seen, and it gets to a place where you can't change it anymore, so it's stuck. Whereas for now you guys are able to quickly iterate and find what works, what doesn't work, and then maybe start to fix things or add governance where people or everyone can decide democratically or however you want to do it. But it allows you to get to that stage where things are going to work as optimally as possible. So yeah, I'd like to see more experimentation in the space, less kind of just this is how we're going to do it and just bog themselves down too quickly, and then not get that optimal model. So yeah, definitely thanks for being on.
Man, thank you so much for having me. I'm not blowing smoke. Like, I regularly listen whenever I see your guys' podcasts. I regularly listen, and there's not a lot of people doing kind of the stuff that we're doing in the space. June, when I watched your Ignite, that was when I first kind of really became aware of you, and I appreciate just all the work that you guys do and give back to the community, and just putting on the show. So it was an absolute honor, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Matt. Yeah, keep us updated. And yeah, let us know. I think there's challenges. I do agree with Justin. You got the centralized solutions. There's a lot of advantages there, and I think you can iterate and experiment a lot. But then there's a lot of advantage on the decentralized, or at least blockchain side, where you kind of want a lot of these things on the blockchain, and so it's like, okay, well, you could get stuck doing that. You can iterate a little bit more. So balancing that, just being transparent, and just having that to kind of make up for what we can do on the blockchain, I think is incredibly important when it's more centralized. So, but really appreciate you, Matt, coming out and speaking here today. I know you do some videos as well, and I think I've seen you interviewing, I think, Thomas and others. So appreciate you kind of going out there and delivering good content as well. And so yeah, really would keep us updated on Trybe, and look forward to seeing your webcast as well. So.
For sure. Well, do, guys. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute honor, and I'll keep tuning in. So thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, guys. See you next week, and we'll follow up with the next DAP R2 next week. So thanks a lot, guys.
Sounds good. Catch you guys. Bye.